My friends, what I'm about to share with you happened just 3 nights ago. But before I tell you about that mysterious phone call at 11:47 p.m., before I reveal the name of the person who whispered those 5 terrifying words to me, I need you to understand something crucial. This isn't just another political story. This is about secrets that powerful people kill to protect. Take a deep breath with me right now, because once you hear what I discovered in that dimly lit restaurant downtown, once you learn what was written on that folded napkin passed to me under the table, your entire understanding of American politics will never be the same. And please, before we go any further, hit that subscribe button and become a member of this community, because the more of us who know the truth, the safer we all become. 3 people told me not to make this video. 3 different phone calls, 3 different voices, all delivering the same message. Michelle, some doors should stay closed. But you know what? Some doors need to be opened, no matter how powerful the hands trying to keep them shut. I've walked through the halls of power. I thought I understood the game. I was wrong, dead wrong. Last Tuesday night, a man who has served 4 different presidents looked me in the eye and said, "They're not who you think they are. There's a room in the Capitol building that doesn't appear on any floor plan, room 347B, the decision room. Some just call it the room because speaking its purpose feels dangerous." I first heard about this room during my time as First Lady, but I thought it was a myth, a ghost story told by burned-out staffers to scare fresh interns. Until last week, when Senator Patricia Williams, a woman I've known for 15 years, a woman who once helped me plant the White House vegetable garden, grabbed my arm at a charity dinner and whispered, "Michelle, we need to talk. Alone. Tonight." The urgency in her voice sent chills down my spine. This was the same woman who had remained calm during the 2008 financial crisis, who had never once lost her composure during the most heated political battles. But that night, her hands were shaking. Her eyes kept darting around the room as if she expected someone to be watching us. What she told me over dinner at that small Georgetown restaurant, what she pulled from her purse and slid across the table between the wine glasses, what she made me promise to memorize before she lit it on fire right there in the bathroom sink, I'm about to share with you. But first, you need to understand the pattern. You need to see the connections that most Americans miss because they're too obvious, hiding in plain sight like shadows at noon. Remember Senator James Richardson's sudden retirement? He didn't retire. He was retired. After visiting room 347B, his face was gray, hands trembling. 6 hours later, he wrote his resignation. Congresswoman Maria Santos changed her crucial vote after a midnight meeting. Invitation on cream paper 347B, 11:30 p.m. You're starting to see it now, aren't you? The pattern that Patricia Williams died trying to expose. Oh, yes, she's gone. 3 weeks after our conversation, her car went off that bridge on Route 295. The police called it an accident, mechanical failure. They said brake lines somehow severed. But I saw Patricia's face that night at dinner. I heard her voice crack when she said, "Michelle, if something happens to me, you have to tell this story." Now here I am, telling it. Because some secrets are too dangerous to keep buried, and some doors must be opened, even if powerful hands are trying to keep them shut. The man who calls himself the architect, though I suspect that's not his real name, has been operating from room 347B for longer than most people realize. According to Patricia's research, according to the document she photographed with a hidden camera during her one visit to that room, this shadow operation has been influencing American politics for over 2 decades. Think about every major political surprise of the last 20 years, every sudden resignation, every unexpected vote change, every scandal that erupted just before a crucial election. Patricia's documents showed a pattern so clear, so undeniable, that when I first read them, I had to put the papers down and walk to the window, staring out at the Washington Monument, wondering how many other monuments were built on lies. The architect doesn't work alone. He has what Patricia called the council, a group of 12 individuals whose names would shock you. Some you see on television every week, some you voted for, some you trust with your children's future. But in room 347B, they remove their public masks and reveal faces that would give you nightmares. I remember the exact moment Patricia's voice dropped to a whisper when she leaned across that dinner table and said, "Michelle, they're not making political decisions. They're making survival decisions for themselves and anyone who threatens their survival." She didn't finish that sentence. She didn't need to. The bruises on her wrist, the one she tried to hide with her bracelet, told the rest of the story. The meeting notes that Patricia photographed, the ones she made me memorize before burning them, contained details about operations with names like Clean Slate, Final Vote, and Permanent Vacation. Each operation targeted a specific individual who had become what the council called problematic. Senator Richardson was Clean Slate. Congresswoman Santos was Final Vote. And Patricia? Patricia was scheduled for permanent vacation. But here's what they didn't expect. Patricia wasn't working alone. She had allies, people placed strategically throughout Washington, people who had been watching and waiting and gathering evidence for years, people who knew that eventually someone like me would need to tell this story the night Patricia died or was killed, depending on how much truth you can handle. 3 packages were delivered simultaneously to 3 different locations. One to a journalist whose name I cannot reveal for their safety, one to a federal judge whose courage, I pray, is stronger than their fear, and one to me. Inside my package was a key, not a metaphorical key, but a real physical key made of brass and determination and Patricia's dying wish. The key to a safety deposit box in a bank that doesn't officially exist, in a building that doesn't appear on any city maps, containing evidence that could bring down the most powerful people in America. I haven't decided whether to use that key yet, because once that door is open, once that evidence is revealed, there's no going back. Not for me, not for my family, not for anyone who stands in the light of that truth. But I can tell you what Patricia whispered to me during our last phone call, the one at 11:47 p.m. that I mentioned at the beginning. She said, "Michelle, the next target isn't a politician. It's someone who can reach the people directly, someone with a platform, someone like lame when dead before she could finish." But I knew what she was going to say. Someone like me. The 5 words that changed everything, the ones that man told me in that restaurant, were these: "You're on the list now." Not a list of political targets, not a list of problematic voices. The list, the one Patricia died trying to expose, the one that decides who stays and who goes in American politics. Room 347B operates on Tuesdays and Fridays, always after midnight, always with the same 12 chairs arranged in a circle around a table made from wood taken from the original Senate chamber. The table where America's first senators made deals that shaped a nation. Now it's where the council makes deals that could destroy one. The invitation process is simple and terrifying. You receive a cream-colored card with no return address. The card contains only an address, a time, and a single sentence: "Your presence has been requested. You cannot decline. You cannot send a representative. You cannot bring security or staff or lawyers or hope. You attend alone, or you don't attend at all." And not attending isn't really an option. What happens during those meetings varies depending on the target. Sometimes it's a simple conversation about changing a vote, adjusting a position, stepping away from a particular issue. Sometimes it's more complex, involving family members, business interests, or personal secrets that have been carefully collected and cataloged for future use. But sometimes, according to Patricia's notes, sometimes the conversation is about permanent solutions for permanent problems. In those meetings, the council doesn't discuss politics or compromise. They discuss removal, and when they use that word, they're not talking about resignation. The evidence Patricia gathered over 3 years of investigation includes financial records showing payments from sources that don't exist to accounts that can't be traced. It includes photographs taken with hidden cameras showing meetings that never officially happened between people who claim to be enemies. It includes audio recordings of conversations where death is discussed with the casual tone most people use to discuss dinner plans. I've heard some of those recordings, sitting in that safety deposit box that doesn't officially exist, listening to voices I recognize discussing ways to handle the Patricia problem. I felt a cold that no amount of heat could cure. These weren't monsters in masks or movie villains with elaborate schemes. These were people I had shaken hands with, people I had smiled with at political dinners, people who had congratulated me on my speeches about hope and unity and the future of America. The most chilling recording was made during a meeting that took place just 2 days before Patricia's death. The council was discussing what they called acceleration of timeline due to information breach. The architect's voice was calm, almost bored. As he said, the Williams problem requires immediate resolution, standard protocol. Make it look accidental. Weather conditions are favorable for automotive incidents. 3 days later, Patricia's car went off that bridge on a rainy Tuesday morning. Brake failure. Mechanical malfunction. No signs of foul play. Case closed. Problem solved. Evidence buried with the body. But Patricia was smarter than they gave her credit for. She had anticipated this moment, prepared for it, planned beyond it. The evidence she gathered isn't just sitting in that safety deposit box waiting for someone brave enough to use it. It's been distributed, copied, hidden in places the council doesn't know about, given to people they haven't identified yet. Patricia's allies hold copies. Sarah Chen encrypted the files. Father Miguel Santos stores documents in his church vault. Dr. Rebecca Torres traced the money trails. Each has instructions if something happens to me. But I'm not relying solely on posthumous justice. I'm relying on something more powerful. You. Every person watching this video. Every subscriber to this channel. Every voice that demands transparency and accountability, because the council's power depends on darkness, on secrecy, on the public's ignorance of what happens behind those closed doors. Light is their greatest enemy. Truth is their deepest fear. And when millions of people start asking questions about room 347B, when they start demanding answers about the council, when they refuse to accept convenient explanations for inconvenient deaths, the shadows start retreating. The pattern Patricia discovered goes back further than anyone imagined. Room 347B wasn't created recently. It's been operating in various forms for decades. The location has changed, the membership has evolved, but the purpose has remained constant. Maintain control at any cost. The pattern goes back decades. Senator William Hayes, 1997 plane crash, planning to expose shadow government. Congressman David Price, 2003 heart attack, investigating Democratic irregularities. Representative Laura Kim, 2019 suicide, gathering campaign finance evidence. All died before revealing what they knew. Each of these cases, when examined individually, appears tragic but explainable. Taken together, analyzed through the lens of Patricia's research, they reveal a pattern of elimination that is both systematic and terrifying. The most disturbing document: succession protocols. Instructions for removing political figures while maintaining the appearance of natural death. Automotive accidents for immediate removal. Health-related deaths for gradual elimination. Suicides for credibility destruction. Reading those protocols, understanding the cold calculation behind each method, recognizing the clinical detachment with which they discuss ending human lives, I felt something die inside me. Not hope exactly, but innocence. The belief that our system, flawed as it might be, operates within moral boundaries. Room 347B exists outside those boundaries. The council operates beyond legal constraints. They've created a shadow democracy where votes are purchased, conscience is a liability, and dissent is a death sentence. But they made a mistake. They underestimated Patricia Williams. They dismissed her as a small-town senator without powerful allies or dangerous knowledge. They were wrong on both counts. Patricia spent her last 3 years methodically building a network of truth-tellers, carefully gathering evidence, strategically positioning allies, and creating what she called insurance policies against her own elimination. Her death triggered the activation of those policies, setting in motion a chain of revelations that the council cannot stop. The journalist who received one of Patricia's final packages is someone whose integrity cannot be purchased and whose courage cannot be intimidated. They're working with legal experts and cybersecurity specialists to verify and authenticate the evidence before releasing it to the public. The federal judge who received another package is someone with a history of standing against corruption regardless of personal cost. They're reviewing the evidence to determine appropriate legal actions, including potential federal investigations and criminal charges. And I'm here telling you this story because Patricia believed that truth shared with millions of people becomes harder to suppress than truth hidden in government vaults. The key I carry, the one Patricia died to give me, opens more than just a safety deposit box. It opens a door to understanding how our democracy has been hijacked by a group of individuals who view public service as private opportunity and citizen welfare as acceptable collateral damage. When I use that key, when I retrieve that evidence, when I release those documents and recordings and photographs to the public, The council will respond. They will try to discredit me, destroy my reputation, question my motives, and attack my character. If those methods fail, they will consider more permanent solutions. But I'm not Patricia Williams, alone and vulnerable in a small town. I have a platform, a voice, millions of followers, and the protection that comes with public visibility. They cannot make me disappear without creating exactly the kind of attention they desperately want to avoid. That's why I'm sharing this story with you now, before I use Patricia's key, before I retrieve that evidence, before I open those final doors. Because if something happens to me, you'll know it wasn't an accident. If I suddenly disappear from public life, you'll know it wasn't my choice. If I die unexpectedly, you'll know it wasn't natural causes. And you'll know to keep asking questions, demanding answers, and refusing to accept convenient explanations for inconvenient truths. The truth about room 347B is just the beginning. The council is only one part of a larger network of influence and control that extends far beyond Washington, reaching into corporate boardrooms, media organizations, and judicial chambers across America. Patricia's evidence reveals connections between the council and individuals you trust, organizations you support, and institutions you depend on. The web of corruption is vast, the betrayal of public trust is systematic, and the threat to democracy is existential. But here's what gives me hope, what keeps me fighting, what makes Patricia's sacrifice meaningful. You. Every person who refuses to accept easy answers, every citizen who demands transparency, every voter who chooses truth over convenience. The council's greatest weakness is their dependence on darkness. They operate in shadows because they cannot survive in light. They rely on secrecy because their actions cannot withstand scrutiny. They maintain power through fear because their authority crumbles under